My name's Jeremiah Moore. I started attending Elevate Life when I was 10 years old. My first weekend here at church, I was with my parents and I was approached by Luis Vasquez, and he met me in the lobby, met my family, and he asked me, well, if you did play an instrument, like which one would you want to play? And I was like, well, I'm 10 years old, I'm a boy, like the drums. And so every Saturday I started showing up to these rehearsals and practices and really just learning my instrument and falling in love with worship. And through that, about a year later, I started playing drums for our kids area, and I got to actually meet a lot of my best friends even now. And by the age of 13, I was playing on our main stage, and I really found my passion for worship and for servant leading through that. I was a part of our youth really heavily with my friends, my mom, my dad, and my two sisters. We were all here serving at the church. My dad was a part of the Mighty Men with Pastor Keith that traveled. On December 14th, 2014, my dad actually ended up passing away from a heart attack. I heard God's voice audibly for the very first time, and I woke up before I knew anything that was going on, and I heard, it's time to step up, I give you my perfect peace. And I heard that over and over, and I didn't know what it meant, and kind of just out of that like waking up kind of sense, I fully opened my eyes, hearing my mom screaming for me downstairs, realizing what everything was going on, and calling the paramedics. And from that moment, there was probably about 6 months where I didn't want to serve. There was a time where I didn't want to follow God. I felt like everything that was told from my parents about God and about Jesus and the way he loves me, it wasn't real, because in my life it didn't feel like he showed it. It didn't feel like he was faithful. It didn't feel like God was there for me, because why would he take my dad from me at such a young age? I remember times of feeling just the weight of like being fatherless and feeling like I was alone. I kind of just felt numb for about 6 months and didn't want to really do a whole lot. I felt definitely depressed. I remembered what Pastor Keith says, you can live life by default or you can live life by design. And what that really meant to me is you can go through life and just whatever happens to you, you can just accept that, or you can choose to intentionally choose your life and design your life and live a life that you want to live. And I decided that, like if I was going to be sad and if I was going to not have a dad, I can't change that, but I can always choose my reaction to that and how I respond and my attitude and how to lead myself. And that was probably one of my biggest life lessons here to date, is the power to be able to lead myself and to be able to choose happiness, to be able to choose joy, to be able to choose love despite not having that in my life. Maybe from a father sense, or maybe from my expectation of my parents or my family. And so in that moment, I decided to press in to our youth group, choosing to follow and run after God instead of trying to run away from the things I had. For the first time, I felt his love like I've never felt before. First time I felt like I had a relationship for myself instead of knowing my parents' Jesus or knowing my parents' relationship with God. I had a relationship with God for the first time, and I had this depth and love and understanding of God works everything out for your good. We started a program called Gears, and that was like a discipleship program, and they asked me to have 2 boys that I was able to disciple and be an older brother to. And I remember just hanging out with them, not thinking much about it. I remember driving one of my students home, and he started bawling his eyes out, and I'm like, hey buddy, like what's going on? He starts talking to me and telling me about his home life, and when he goes home, it's like his hell on earth, and that he just was crying so hard because he didn't want to go home. And he was like, the only time I'm happy or the only time I feel like joy or anything is like when I'm with you and hanging out with you. I kind of encouraged him, and I went home that night thinking about the weight that I carry of being able to be Jesus to someone. And I remember that brokenness feeling. I remember that not wanting to go to bed at night, and the fact that I could be someone's joy through God, that I could be God's joy to someone by just hanging out with them and loving them. And it didn't take anything extra. It didn't take all the knowledge in the world. It didn't take having to be perfect, but just loving and being there for someone that needed me. It like changed their whole life. And I remember that not knowing that God loved me. I remember not knowing that God had a plan for me, that God, wanted the best for me, and that there's so much more than just my situation right in front of me. I found my best friends at this church. I found my fiance Brinkley. We can go to, youth or Wave, nothing's more important than finding community and best friends, because when you're hurting the most, the worst thing you can do is isolate yourself, because that's when the enemy is the loudest. That's when the enemy wants to attack you. That's when the enemy feels like he has you in a good spot. And so I don't know where I'd be without community. I don't know where I'd be without being able to serve with the people I love, the people that encourage me, the people that want the best for me. I don't know where I'd be without the brotherhood, people that choose to be there for me, that I can be there for them. The aspect of family of choice is so important to me and so special, and I haven't been able to find that anywhere but Elevate Life Church.